It was literally, I changed the audio the day I exported it. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
should make this thing. And I did, and I was like, this is amazing. And it worked beautifully. And I even had like certain parts where like cars would go by. And so I had audio on this part where the car came from. And then I put it in the other ear. So it's like, listen to it like with headphones. Cause it's just like, and it's like, okay, we're good here. All right. Okay, welcome to the first podcast, everybody. This is James Hagen, and
Um,
we are doing a podcast for the first time. So, yeah, we're just going for it. So, I'll introduce James a little bit. So, James lives currently in Orem, Utah. He's going to UVU, as you can see on his shirt there, and where he's located. He is going into digital cinema production and is in his first semester of that. So you're currently no route yet, but you might go into producing,
or
directing,
cinematography or
cinematography, screenwriting,
something.
editing. You're kind of leaning towards cinematography as the director of photography just because you like kind of showing the story. It's kind of more your style. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's James. So, welcome.
Thank you. And this is Jessica Woffinden. I met her while I was up in Post Falls, and she's been creating videos for a long time. She's very passionate about what she does, and I'm so excited to be able to be on this podcast with her and be able to talk about like one of my favorite things ever, video and how it's all done, like behind the scenes, but also tips and like tricks and stuff that can help like me or her or anybody improve on their skills. And
Hmm.
so I'm really excited to be here. And yeah,
Awesome. Very cool. Well, let's just jump into it. Both of us have a film that we gave to each other to kind of critique and talk about today. So we'll go into video number one. Let's go ahead and let's talk over your video, James.
you put me first.
Yes. So you made a film about a film called
Yeah.
The Film Was Safety Last, and you did a review of it for a class project, but then you
Yep.
went above and beyond about it because this is what you're going to school for, this is what you love to do. So,
Yep. This is a very difficult but very fun assignment. This movie is so good at having it be or having the audience be so on edge because there's so many things that are going wrong and they're just barely making it through, which I think is so impressive.
that's a
And
cool way of
then,
storytelling. Yeah, it's like you do want anticipation, like good film that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like what's going to happen next is important.
yeah,
So kind of tell me why did you make this video? Why, kind of go to that level.
this this was way over the top for what I had to do. This, like I said, was a film history assignment. The requirements were that there's a three-part group, so two of my other classmates, we were all in a group, and we wanted to create a summary. So my specific summary was on the story of of how this was made. And I didn't want because videography and cinematography is my major, I didn't want to just like, you know, selfie hold a video. Then, and
Mm-hmm.
by the way, this was most of the video so far where it's them right in like their phone is low, right? And so you get like this super like chin view. And then you got their computer monitor, and it's usually like later at night, right? Because you procrastinate and eventually get to your video. And so it's dark, lighting and audio is terrible. It's at a terrible angle, and I'm looking at these and I'm like, I can't, I can't do that. Like
You're like, I
that's
have a
gonna bug
reputation
the
to
crap
hold.
out. So in here, so where I'm at in my apartment complex, they have this clubhouse, and I was a little hesitant on actually recording it here because kind of like the room I'm in right now, it has a lot of echo. And you can hear it in that video really well because
Hmm.
that room was very, very echoey. There were not a lot of, here we have carpet on the walls. There is a flat wall and glass behind me and on the sides, but I am carpet. The ceiling is
Nice.
treated better. And there it is, you can even see it. It is all like glass and hard painted drywall. There are couches and things, and I am using a shotgun mic to try to just focus in on my voice.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of my fears, and sadly, it kind of came true where I got a lot of echo.
Oh.
Um,
It looked like a
when it,
really cool room, though. It looked great.
it oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I filmed there.
Mm-hmm.
Is with videos. The thing with video is if you want, you don't have to have expensive equipment at all. Um, you can get your iPhone 8 from 2017 or 2018 or 19, I don't remember. And if you've got a gorgeous setup where like perspective is key and sound is key, if you have the opportunity, record closest to the person giving the voice so
Mm-hmm.
that you get the crispest sounding voice that you can get. Because what people care about is eye candy and it has to sound good. If
Mm-hmm.
you check off those two things, you'll probably see this in like a lot of reels or TikTok or whatever. But those are usually the most satisfying videos, and they can be talking about something so boring, but because it looks and sounds really good, you're invested, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just that's just your brain wanting to see more and hit and listen to more of what is so good.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because audio is 50% of the experience. You can visually look amazing, but if your audio is crap and echoey and garbled or there's wind, like you're not going to be able to, like, no one's going to want to listen to your message. They're going to be like, oh, this is painful to listen to. I just want to skip. Where was your noise, isolator, your voice isolator? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding a spot to film are things that we think about as filmmakers. We think about, okay, like where am I going to film this? Like not just like first you start with like, okay, what's it going to look good? And then what's going to sound good? Cuz you want to visually be good. That is like probably I would say number 1, you want to look good.
Absolutely.
And then audio is also just like right under there. It's like, okay, like how am I going to capture this audio? Am I going to have a microphone like really close like this, or am I going to have something like super far away and it's going to be echoey and it's not going to be a good day. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Like even for today, so before we started this podcast, Jessica and I were working with because right now currently I'm on my phone. So if you're listening to headphones doing this podcast, you'll probably realize that not only is this going through Discord and it probably doesn't have the best audio quality,
Mm-hmm.
but I am also on a phone in an echoey room, so my audio is not the best. Next time we do this, I hope to have a secondary mic where I could just send Jessica the audio clip and then we could still talk the same way because video on a podcast
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really much.
Mm-hmm.
More
True.
people will listen to them. But I still didn't want to cheap out here. So let me hop back into my view here. I guess I'm kind of cropped in, but where I'm at in UVU, there is a lot going on. There's a lot visually. So even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
just a talking head at this point,
It's
there's still a
exciting.
lot to look at.
Yeah.
There's a lot of color. There's green. There's warmer hues from the light reflecting
Yeah, I
off
saw
here.
that. Yep.
If these shutters weren't down, this is a whole view of the Utah Valley here, and there's people walking around. There's a lot. So even with something that would be considered boring, you can still have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
creative liberty with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
now that I'm looking at myself, I'm going to readjust my
Now you're
camera.
like, yeah, I know. This is exactly life of a filmmaker, right? It's just like, oh, but I
Yep.
could get a better angle over here. Honestly, like this setup is the way that it is so that I can record using this microphone and with my computer. If I had this set up the way that I wanted to, I would actually be over there filming that way. That wall has like a lot of really cool art on it. So I would use it as kind of a leading line to then where I would be as like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you get to like see my personality a little bit, like, oh, I like certain games or I've got like photos, I've got, stuff up there. So I think as like this podcast, right? This is about us as filmmakers. So we want to make it look as good as we can. But,
Right.
it's,
No.
it also just comes down to content, like they say, content is king. If you have a really good podcast and people love you, I mean, if think about like your favorite celebrity, you'd watch a crappy video of them because you love them. So it doesn't really matter. Like in the end, it's a weird world we live in. But I think for us, we're more of like we want to make films, so we're trying to push ourselves to actually be not lazy. Like we're trying to not be lazy, I would say. Okay, so going into your video here, I wanted to highlight a few of my favorite moments for that. So or there's also a question of like, was there any inspiration that you had behind filming? Like what inspired you to film in the clubhouse? I mean, you kind of said it, but you said how like you see all these other students' films that they put in, and you're like, I can do better than that.
Yeah, at the time, I mean, honestly, I probably would have filmed here. This is like one of my favorite buildings at UVU because it's so open, there's so much to look at. I probably would have recorded this video at UVU, but I didn't have my camera gear, and it was really late at night.
Hmm.
Um, and so the clubhouse was the next best option because I had recorded another video for my cinema production class, and we analyzed that video because I asked them to, and they mentioned this exactly what we're talking about. In my apartment, we don't have a lot of decorations, so it's a lot of flat, bland, white walls, a lot of echo, and um, outside of me talking and us moving the camera around, there wasn't very much to look at, and it wasn't too entertaining. And so I chose to go to this clubhouse because this had the most, it had a lot of color. If we go on to the video, let me just try to jump somewhere. And sadly, my color grading wasn't amazing on this video. This
Oh,
is
so
kind of rushed.
you put some color grade on there then, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a slightly cooler hue. So
Mm-hmm.
and kind of how my face is on this video now, it is a little, just a touch oversaturated, I'd say. Actually, maybe not. This is a very warm light, but,
You don't have the best light,
and
but it's still your view is great, so it's okay. Like it's yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I really liked in here because it has amazing lighting in the clubhouse. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm not facing the center of the room and it is nighttime, you can see my face is very well lit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Audio wasn't the best. I figured that was the one thing that I would be fine with axing because every other video that I'm comparing with um, has, like I said, just the standard like you're straight out of your camera, no care for or out of your phone, no care for like any audio processing or anything. And so I was like, I will get away with that because for the most part, my voice is dead center. You can hear me loud and clear, and then you just have a little bit of reverb.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose that because I chose the clubhouse because of its visual appeal, its good lighting, and then the con was that audio.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. It's great inspiration though. Yeah. Trying to find a place that makes it like you come alive versus like I see so many people that film right up next to a wall because they're like, oh, I just don't want stuff in the background. I want to, like, this is where you film and you're right up next to a wall. And it's like, you look boring. Like, you look flat. There's no depth. Like, you should film next to a wall, but you should be facing the wall so that everything is behind you. And then clean up whatever it is behind you, or don't. Like, you're in a very
Yeah.
clean building and that looks great. So keep that. I've tried to add depth here by I have to film in this location, but it's like I could film with the wall, as my background, or I could film like this direction. Okay, back to the questions here. So, highlighting some favorite moments. One of the favorite things that I have tried doing lately is with music, timing the music to emphasize certain parts of what you're saying or doing. So at the very end of your film, you have the music stop before the very, very end of the film. And it's like you're wrapping up and it's like your tiny little like whatever message it is at the very end, and it's like the music is done. So all of a sudden you're like, the viewer's like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Like, I'm paying attention.
Highly recommend that you go out and watch it yourself.
Did you time that on purpose or was that an accident? I want to know.
Oh, it was on purpose, but not the way I wanted the video or the music to go all the way to the end of my video, but like, of course, try to end on that beat. And but I couldn't. Like I was trying to squish down even further my video timeline so I could end on that
Mm.
beat, but I couldn't. And so what I did is what's called a J cut, where you're, I mean, I'm not cutting to anything, but I'm ending the audio. So if you have your video and your audio, I'm ending the audio a little early, so you create this J. Or I think that's why it's called a J
That,
cut. You
yep.
also have an L cut. But I'm doing that, and then I did do that on purpose. So I the song does continue going on, but I cross faded it, fade away towards the last like 3 seconds, so that it's like so it ends on that beat, and it sounds like the song just ends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then because I only had like 5 more seconds or something, I just used that to, yeah, pretty much say this is the end of the video and kind of prepare the audience for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was like accidental, but very much on purpose. It was only an accident because I didn't have full manipulation over the song or the video.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it worked. It worked. And sometimes accidents are like, hey, that was cool, you know? I feel like a lot of times when we're editing, we make those accidents and it's like, wait, that actually looks cooler than what I had in mind. Let's keep it. So,
Right?
oh, and
So,
then we get the bloopers.
yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. 5 minutes? What the freak?
Okay, tell me too about this little blooper at the end that you're like 5 minutes. Was that 5 minutes a surprise that it was that long, or that it was
Yeah.
that short?
Like I said, this assignment had the 3 minute time limit, right? So you were like
Mm.
around 2 to 3 minutes. That was your goal. And so when I'm recording this, I was hoping just to do it in one cut, where I didn't have to split through everything. And even though you have, like, I had my camera and then you have the viewfinder facing towards you, even though I could have been looking at the time, I wasn't. And I thought I was going really quick. I thought I was actually going too quick. And I looked back on the video, I was like, oh my goodness, I actually went over by a lot. I was like, I'm gonna have to
Yep.
edit it.
Yeah, I feel, and I've had to learn this through editing, is like you literally use like 10%, if that. It's like 1% almost of like everything that you film to get those exact little moments. But you still need all that stuff. You still need to like have pressed record the whole time. Otherwise, you're not gonna get what you need. So, but yeah, that was great. It'd just be like 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, time goes right real fast on a camera. So
Yeah.
your video wasn't super technical, I would say. You weren't trying to like do fancy transitions or anything like that, but you still like brought it
Yeah.
to life by like bringing up those different pictures and different videos and things like that. And I mean, just kind of go into, I guess, describing like why we do that as filmmakers now. You know, like why is it important to put things up on screens when you're talking about something?
Yeah. So, and by the way, for those who don't know or haven't put together what B-roll is, that's exactly what B-roll is. It is on your second video timeline, where it's putting a picture in front of the person that you're talking about. Usually it's a video or a picture, but the reason we do that is to keep the audience engaged. If we weren't doing that, then it would be just this nice long monologue where I'm talking to you and you can imagine what is going on, but um, or what I'm talking about, but there's like nothing to visually stimulate or nothing to spark new thought. Anyway, what I'm saying is like it makes you go idle if you just have somebody talking like a floating head the entire time. And so to bring up these videos of not only the video I'm talking about, but the specific scenes that I'm talking about, it helps the audience understand more what I'm talking about for that video, um, and hopefully keeps them engaged. And if you got the time, sadly, the biggest constraint for me for this project was time.
Hmm.
Um, if I had more time, then I would probably have showed more of the clips of Safety Last. So then that way, there was way more. I would pretty much be telling the story and showing you the main clips from what happened, but I didn't. And so what we have there is just uh, I think it took me maybe an hour to edit that whole video together.
Woo, nice. Because, yeah,
Um,
you were like, gotta get it done. Gotta get it done.
yeah,
I
it was
think,
a group assignment, so I couldn't really work on other parts until I knew how the other students were taking
mm,
their positions.
mhm.
Um, but yeah,
I think too, like, I think as filmmakers, we run into that issue of like, if I had more time, I would have done X, Y, Z.
right.
But at the
I
same
think, yeah, you're
time,
right.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like it's good that we have those deadlines because we would never finish anything. We would just be like tweaking and being like, oh, but now I
Never
like,
perfect.
yep. It's just like, like just especially starting out, like it's not going to be perfect. This podcast is not going to be perfect. Like we're going to get so much better if we continue this because we would practice it and learn things and think differently. So it's just
Yeah,
like get it done. It's okay if like you get to the end of it and you're like, I would do this totally different now. Like good, that's a good thing.
yeah,
Publish
you're
it,
learning.
move on. Like
There's something that one of my video teachers was telling me where the best way to make a video is to give yourself restrictions. Because when you have restrictions, then you have to consider new alternatives. I was just watching, I should find the video, but I was just watching this big movie producer film a movie strictly on the latest iPhone. And I think it might have been,
ooh,
they might have been working with Apple for that. But it was very interesting because now they have to, because with phones and everything, they don't have like the best depth of field,
yeah,
or they have restrictions, right?
yeah, oh yeah.
And so they're trying to mix the world of the consumer and the industrial video producer. Um, and it's really cool because he walks through the issues that he has to face and how he gets around them and how he has that specific look for his video still get applied even with a smartphone camera, which is awesome, you
Yeah,
know?
yes. I feel like a true filmmaker would not be limited by the tech that they have, that they would be able to take a phone or take a really big camera, either way, and be able to make something beautiful out of it that the viewer would be like, wow, like that was a really good story or whatever, like
Yeah.
at least for filmmaking, like for the storytelling as it goes. Okay, was there anything else that you wanted to say though about your film that you loved the most that you're like, I'm gonna do that again, or that you're just like, that was unexpected and I loved it?
Like I said, I think the next time I go out filming, I would love to film outside. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what I would prioritize the most next time I film, like I would like to keep the same visual appeal, maybe not the same location, but I would love to get the audio, um, like a lapel mic or something, so that I just sound crisp.
Mm-hmm.
I look good. I mean, I don't maybe look good, but the scene looks good, and that checks all the boxes. Then I just have to worry about what I'm saying, and that's the easy part.
Sweet, cool. Goals going forward then is to go film outside with a good audio capture. Well, sweet,
Absolutely.
cool. All right, so let's dive into then my film, I guess.
As far as I remember, you had this group reach out saying, or maybe you reached out, but regardless of what happened, you were going to help create this snowboarding video. Was it for the snowboards? Was it for the resort? Um, what was it for?
Yeah, so I made a snowboard film. It's called Why We Ride, a snowboard film, and I literally did it for fun because I love film and I love snowboarding and I was like, okay, so it started with me filming the event. So I went to this event knowing that I wasn't going to get paid for it. I actually paid like my own lift ticket that day. So it wasn't even like, oh, just, yeah, here, come out here and do whatever you need to do. It was just a normal day where I'm just like, okay, like I'm gonna go, there's an event going on, I'm gonna find the event where it's at, I'm gonna talk to the people, I'm gonna make sure like, hey, is it okay if I film right over here on this side? And they're like, yeah, you're fine, like you're great. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. No snowboarders, no names, no staff.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I don't know anyone up here. So I really hope that I can contact people somehow with this footage. So, yeah, like even left the mountain, had nothing. So I was like, all right, so I filmed this event and then let it sit for a little while, a few days. So I filmed this event in January and was like, I want to make this into a film. I don't want to just do just like covering the event, like, oh, this is the event. It was like, if I could do this anyway, like, how would I do this? And it did start out as trying to do like a little bit of just like mostly the event. And then I was like, no, like if this was like a documentary, like what story could I add in here? Like what's the why? Like why am I doing this film? Like what do I want people to like take away from this? And so that was where it led to, where it was just like, why do we ride? So why do we snowboard? And yeah,
Right.
that was kind of the why I did it and what it was for.
Yeah, and I think it was genius too, because I've totally been there where you're just recapping an event. There's nothing interesting about it or I mean, sorry, the event's interesting, but the edit you've produced might not be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just like watching this, it's like, I mean, you have the timeline, or it's like, all right, they had the intros, and then they did this one thing, and then they did this other thing, and then it's over. Okay, good job. But what you've done is a lot more impressive, where you created, I mean, we're literally watching you in this film prepare, and you're telling a story. People love stories.
Yeah.
And so to see this and to have you walk through the story, and don't you have a bookend on it? Like, don't you end it with
Mm-hmm.
you at your car again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, there's like two bookends. So I have it at the beginning where I'm at the car and and like I'm talking, but I'm not talking, like you know, the
Right?
B-roll. And then at the end, like so I ask this question is like, why do we snowboard? And then at the end when I'm answering it and it's like, here's my answer, there's me again at the car. And then it goes into my answer, which is them back at the mountain. But and then at the other bookend is at the beginning I have it be like a movie theater and you're like being drawn in like with the audio and everything, like you're zooming in, and then at the end it's like you're zooming back out and the audio goes with it. Yeah, it's a lot
So
of
good.
fun to film like that. I was like, this is so cool.
Hey, you reminded me about a video for my end of year project for my sophomore year in high school. Our video teacher gave us a prompt. And like we were saying earlier, where you have to have restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
he gave us specific requirements. So I think there had to be chocolate chips in the video.
Nice.
You had to have a stick, and I didn't fulfill this prompt, but you had to say something with the stick. I don't remember what it was, but you had to have a stick. We did include a stick. I forgot about the voice prompt. And then the last requirement was you had to do like the Karate Kid, like,
Oh,
I don't
the
know,
thing. Yeah,
pose,
the crane. Yep.
the crane, and I was able to do that. So
Nice.
I would love to next time watch it, and I'll spoil the ending because that's why I brought it up. But oh crap, but it's still good. I'll just say this
How
at
about
the
we?
very end.
Yeah, it's like don't spoil it if it's so good. We
Yeah,
can totally
I
review
can't
it
I
next
can't
time. Yeah.
spoil the spoiler.
Right, there you go.
But at the very end, I'm just gonna say this: there's an audio device that you can hear, and then it moves to the side. And I thought it was so hard for me to alter that and try to put it.
Mm.
I think I did like Adobe's 3D audio where it like doesn't just move to the right channel or left channel, but it also kind of like the audio distorts, so it sounds like it's like behind or forward. I don't remember, but
Cool.
um anyway, at the very end you have like this really cool at like you're saying conclusion where the audio you were listening to becomes sort of meta, where it's like you're listening to the audio, but like now it's I don't know
You're
how to
further
explain
back.
it.
It's
You're
okay.
listening
Yeah,
to the
you're like, I'm
audio.
not trying to spoil the video. Yeah, no,
Oh,
definitely. Again, that like that, you know, audio, you use audio as your storytelling for
yeah,
sure, which is what I did with this film was like try to like it was literally I changed the audio the day I exported it. I was like, "Oh, I
yeah,
should make this thing." And I did and I was like, "This is amazing," and it worked beautifully. And I even had like certain parts where like cars would go by, and so I had audio on this part where the car came from, and then I put it in the other ear. So it's like listen to it like with headphones, because it's just like and it's like all
And
out.
another important thing, and this is really just me telling you, but um, phones nowadays, even like, of course, we have our earbuds, we
Mm-hmm.
have our headphones. Everyone in college uses headphones or earbuds. But consider this, a lot of phones have stereo sound. And then on top of that, I know Samsungs have Dolby Atmos, and I think iPhones as well. And those are like the two biggest markets here, at least in America. Um, but what they do is they'll distort the audio in a way that makes it sound like it's coming from behind you, even though the speakers are right in front of you.
Oh, cool.
What I'm saying is, even though you might be like, oh, I'm just gonna listen to it like with headphones, is
Right.
it worth putting it in? Yes, it is, because despite what we think technology can do, it will still try its best to deliver the best experience. And so
Mm-hmm.
something I want to do moving forward, oh, and we could probably bring this up for debate next time. Actually, I don't know.
Agreed.
But frame rate,
Mm-hmm.
I won't say anything specific for that yet. Um, and then HDR, a lot of phones nowadays can do it, especially if they have OLED screens.
Mm-hmm.
Audio with your, what I'm saying is you can have like your normal video, or you can have the deluxe package, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you did that, because soundscaping, like we were saying, is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do, to tweak, and I was just like, oh, like I need to export this today, but it was that feeling of like, oh, I could tweak this way more. I would love to tweak it like so much more, but I gotta get it export. I gotta get it up. I'm gonna upload it. But it was like, oh, like because I pushed myself to try to do that. I mean, audio is a whole animal. Like, I can see
Oh,
why filmmakers like it takes a lot of people to make it, because you have people that are specialized in things. Like that's why you have a director. You have the director of photography. You've got all the audio design, like props, like lighting. Everything is so important. So, and one
uh,
person cannot specialize in all of it because it will not turn out as good if you use a whole team.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else that you liked about the video that you remember or noticed?
I really enjoyed it. I would say, and I think I mentioned this to you before, I think I have one critique.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So in this video, you do have a lot of time in the middle, or somewhere in the middle, where you're going through like everyone doing their actions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and not gonna lie, I could see that kind of slowing down the audience's attention span. And I was thinking about it today. One thing that you could probably even keep it the exact same, like with the cuts and everything. Um, but they're going through those different like tricks that they're trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you could totally do, it would take so much time, not really, but it kind of could. But it'd be really cool is to have the text of whatever move they're trying to do behind them, rotoscoping them in front as
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just as some like visual flair,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I I thought of this. I thought of throwing up the trick names. I don't know all the trick names. So I'm watching this and I'm like I did reach out to the Spokane Lifty who like, or not Lifty, I mean he probably does, but he does like the train park too. And so like
Right.
Patrick, call out, shout out to Patrick. And he gave me the list. I was like, hey, like, do you have the list of the trick shots of everything? And so then I even sent him drafts. I was like, okay, like you put BS instead of board slide. Like this is right, right? Like this is how it is. And so went back and forth to make sure that the trick list that is there is what the trick list is. Do I know what those tricks are? All of them? No. Like I was like, I don't know what a pretzel is. Shoot, I should really learn these terms. And the other thing too is like because I don't know the writer's stance, is a lot of them will drop in switch, so they'll go the opposite way. So I was like, I mean, unless I knew these writers and was like, hey, is this is this your front cab? Like, whatever. Like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, can you tell me? But I did try to
Also,
go chronologically with what I had filmed to try to make it like, okay, like they're doing the first tricks on the trick list at least. And there were riders with 2 different trick lists. So like the intermediate and advanced were different. I don't know if any of the tricks were the same, but it was like enough to be like, all right, I'm just gonna
we're
whip
gonna
it
put it
together.
in. We're good.
Yep.
Another thing that I was thinking of, and I don't remember if you did this, so you might have done this, and I'm just not thinking about it. But recording at a higher frame rate, and then uh, what is it called? Speed ramping.
Yeah.
You-
I recorded it at 60 frames per second and at the 125 shutter speed so that I could slow any of these clips down, which I did. I didn't do as much speed ramping as I could have. Like, it's recommended to speed ramp at the very end of a clip and then at the very beginning of a clip. So you've got like this like whoop, like through into the next, which I've done that in some things, but because there were so many clips, I was like,
Yes,
I'm
then
not
we
gonna
get
do this. Yeah. So there were a few though that I did slow it down. So there was like it was fast at the very beginning, and then as soon as they hit the rail, it was slow, and then as soon as they popped off, it went fast again.
Yeah, and that's good because again, having something visually that's also different that can help our audience, like, I don't know, take it in more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I recommend shooting at 60 frames per second when you're doing action sports. Movies do this too, actually. Like you'll watch like Born Ultimatum, and they've got like the action scenes that feel choppier in a way. Like they usually film it at the higher frame rate because it makes you think and feel differently. So it's like, oh, now we're in
Yeah,
like super action mode. Like every little moment is like captured versus like this motion blur that you get at 23 frames a second. So yeah.
yeah. One thing, so I was just telling Jessica about this, but I just barely got Samsung's new phone,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the features is it can consistently record at 4K 120 FPS.
Wow.
And so if I want to just destroy my storage,
Right.
probably my computer too,
Yeah.
I can record at that frame rate, and then like post, I'll have it at 30 frames a second. But then when I want to slow down, I got all of this headroom
Mm-hmm.
that I can just like, oh, I'm tempted. I might do it. I might for that Bridal Veil video. Maybe I'll do it for like looking at the falls and
Mm-hmm.
having it like slow down. Oh, that'd be so cool.
So what's the highest frame rate you can go to? You said,
I
is
think
it?
240 is the max that
Oh
the
my
phone can do
gosh.
for slow-mo.
I know. Oh yeah,
Um,
super slow. Yeah.
uh, and actually, you said super slow-mo. They don't have that on this phone, surprisingly. I,
Aww.
I used to record lightning shots of
Yeah.
in super slow-mo, but no, they only have normal slow-mo, which will go down to 240.
Hmm.
But but yeah, like I was saying earlier, this phone will do 4K
Mm-hmm.
at 120 FPS.
Yeah. That's
And that's
insane.
impressive because consistently, because you have to worry about fast storage, you have to worry about fast processing because I need to double check, but I think it still does all the HDR stuff. And then you have to worry about heat and battery life. So
Mm-hmm.
there's all these things in this storm that you have to worry about, which I'm gonna have to test. I have no clue if this phone is good at that.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to figure this out.
Yeah. So I'm a full-time filmmaker, and Parker Walbeck was always saying like you're only as good as you know your gear. Kind of like this is what it was just like you got to know your gear well enough. Like you can't just pick up a red camera and suddenly shoot like, Peter Jackson. Like you're not going to be this amazing cinematographer all of a sudden. So it's just like, yeah, like if you have a phone and that's all you've got, play with it. Figure out like what it can do, what its limits are, and then once you've
You
mastered it, move up. Huh?
Yeah, as soon as you figure out what your camera can do and what your limitations are, you can even use those limitations as a benefit. And then, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've heard this saying quite a few times, but um, the best camera that you've got is the one that you have on you.
Yep.
If you've got a full-size camera, that's great. Shoot with that. Do what you can. But if you're out doing normal things and the only thing that you've got is your cell phone camera, then that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know your gear, then you know how, or hopefully you'll know how to take these videos and get the best result that you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're totally
Yeah.
right there.
Yep. And something I've thought too with that is because cameras are getting so ridiculous, phone cameras are getting just ridiculous these days, or even like GoPros, like shooting at 8K, and I'm like thinking like, who's got the space for that? like,
Yeah.
like you have to really like to be a real, to be a real filmmaker, to be a long-term dedicated filmmaker, you've got to have all the storage space and the editing softwares versus
And the processing power, if you're going to be editing 8K.
yeah. So it's like if you're listening and you're just starting out, don't worry about getting like crazy stuff. Use what you've got. Use your phone. Use CapCut. That's a great free app. You can just edit stuff so that you don't
For
have
those
to get storage.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there is a free professional video editing software called DaVinci Resolve.
Yes.
It is amazing. I currently, because I'm a student at UVU here, they provide Adobe, but as soon as I get off of my school's benefit with that, I plan on going to DaVinci because it has all the tools I need and it's free. I could make so
Mm-hmm.
much, I could save so much money because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
Yeah. I this last year I also started DaVinci because I work as an editor and they use DaVinci, and it's pretty nice because we're connected to a cloud, and I learned just this week that you can have two people editing at the same time and they have a little chat that pops up. So you can text each other and be like, hey, like, I'm syncing this. Is this going to destroy your thing? And I'm like, no, I'm working on the audio right now. So you're good. Like, and it's just like,
That's
whoa,
awesome.
like, yeah. So DaVinci, and that's the studio version. So I don't know if it's in like the normal free app, but the free stuff has great.
Well,
Yeah.
even with DaVinci and the paid version, so yeah, you do get more toys with the paid version, but it's one time. It is
Mm-hmm.
expensive. I think it's around $200, but that's one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep. And then you've got it forever. Yep. I use both. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got to do Premiere Pro or only DaVinci. It's like, there's tools in both that I love right now that I have both. So I'm using them. Like I would say the motion graphics for Adobe that I can get off of Adobe stock are better than the graphics that are available for DaVinci right now. Not saying that that's not going to change because a lot of people have been switching over to DaVinci. So I'm sure there's going to be a whole DaVinci thing where it's just like, maybe they already have it and I'm not looking it up.
the DaVinci uprising.
Right. Yeah. Where it's just like, here's all the motion graphics. Because there's a lot of great motion graphics that are specific to Premiere Pro, like the theater clip that I used for this film, where it was like they're in the movie theater. I used that in Premiere. So I stacked like all of my film video into that and then zoomed in. And even like the very last clip where I'm like zooming out, I actually had to layer like so many things on top of each other, export it, and then layer it back again so that it wouldn't crash my system. So I could just like not crash it, but so I could actually see the edit and change it, because sometimes Premiere does work hard. So but yeah, DaVinci has better coloring, I would say. It has really good voice isolation option. Honestly, the way that it looks when you're editing the timeline, I like DaVinci's better. You got like these really nice, you're able to kind of like grab the center and move it the way that you need to. And it looks better. It looks better.
It makes you happy.
It
And
does.
if it makes the receiver happy and it doesn't step on your toes at the same time, perfect,
Yep. It's like, it's prettier, so I'd be happy editing it all day versus like, yeah. So, I mean, that's just me personally, but I think I would be open to editing anything as long as that was the way that it needs to come out. If the story needs to come out on, I've used CapCut, it's just like quick, get a reel up, if you have to do that or whatever, but
Canva.
Canva. I use Canva all the time for my posts.
Yeah.
I do. So I can like
You know I have the video editing, right?
tweak it. I don't use it for video. I don't use Canva for video. Yeah. You could. You could. You maybe don't want to. Yeah. So, all right. So, let's talk about then where people can follow us if you want to say anything. Or
I don't have anyone yet.
okay.
That's kind of the issue because I got back into school. I've wanted because I had like all my old high school stuff. Really just edits of me being goofy. Probably edited at like 2 a.m. when you have like the slap happy funny brain, you know. But as I'm in college here, I'm hoping to not only recreate my social appearance, but also have stuff to put into it. Because right now, that's the reason we watched this one film video is because that's all I've really got since I've been back. But as time goes on, hopefully I start building this up. And yeah, so we'll get there eventually. But
yeah, I think you should make a YouTube specifically for who you are now. Like, let your old YouTube stay where it's at.
let it die. Just kidding.
Let it die, you know. But I think this is like the new you, and so I think starting a YouTube channel, and to anybody out there, like if you're thinking about this, like start a new YouTube channel and just start posting things. I've heard it so many times from different YouTubers and filmmakers. It's like the more that you make, the more you're able to really kind of figure out what it is that you love to do. So your first videos are going to be probably trash, and they might not even be something that you're interested in later down the road, but it takes you doing it to realize what you like. You know, it's just like you can't know what kind of ice creams you like until you try them. You've got to try it. You've got to do it. And I would love to see film from you, James. Like, I would love to see a YouTube channel where it's just like, all right, we're going out and like, here's our, like a documentary of like, we're going up to this abandoned spot on this waterfall and we're going to take photos of the sunset. Like, this is our goal. And then like, you just go and do it. And like, it would just grow you as a videographer, I think, to have a space for it, which is what YouTube is a place for you to put those videos. I think you should do it. I think you should make your own YouTube today and just be like, all right, let's just do it.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't even told you about my funny video, but maybe I'll save that for next time.
Cool. I think we should do this again. I think so because we reviewed two different kinds of films here. We reviewed one that you had to do for school, but that you like took kind of creative liberties on, and then there was one that I did for fun, but I absolutely love. There's like a difference of passion here where I'm just like, I love this film. Like, I want to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm just checking the box.
And you're just like, this isn't really showing my true colors. Like, this isn't really, I had to fit these requirements, but it was also like, you know, like you said, like if you had more time, maybe you would have done a difference. I think it's very important to go after what you're passionate about, and like, because you do your best work when you're passionate about it versus doing something because someone else hired you to, in a way. Like I would, like I get it, where it's just like you would rather work for free doing something that you love than working for whatever amount on something that you hate, because it's not going to push you the way that it pushes you when you love something so much. So I love that. So I think I challenge you to either for next time, pull up that old video that you have, or the one that you have like the cool spoiler, and we can talk about it, and then I can also present like a film too that I'm passionate about, because I think this would be really beneficial for both of us to have it be things that we're really like proud of and that we need to have a space to talk about it. That's not just like, oh yeah, did you see my video? Now let's talk about, you know, like someone in person or in the comment section. Like, no, you need like a space like this where you can be like, okay, this is the director cut, right? This is the behind the scenes. This is the
If I do this next time on my computer, at least with newer videos where I actually have the source, I have the timeline and everything, we can even run through it, you know? Like
That would be cool.
this
Yes.
whole scene, these are the things I left out. This is how I did this one scene. This is audio. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know down in the chat, you know?
Right? Yeah, put it in the chat. It's basically we just do a commentary. I love commentary. I will watch my favorite show with commentary. I love Psych, and I've been going through that, and like the commentary, they talk about random stuff, but it's great.
You
So
know, if you like this, have you heard of Corridor Crew?
no. Oh wait, is that the one that you sent? Is that the no? Those are the reactors. That's sound of visual effects
That is
reacts.
Corridor
Oh,
Crew.
that is them. Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they do.
Right,
And
they
they have a
break down.
bunch of different ones.
Hmm.
Uh, but what they do, what I really like about them is they're literally like my dream group where they're on YouTube. They have just so much fun. They have their own projects that they're working on, and um, what I'm specifically talking about here, one of the routes that they go down is they've got a react or a review where they'll bring rather the director or even the actors, and they'll just sit down and watch and dissect a film. It's not too long. They're probably like 20 minutes max,
Hmm.
10, 20 minutes,
Cool.
but oh my goodness, they're so entertaining. And it's so cool because they get to tell you these behind the scenes details. And it's cool just to be with them and to watch it. And now I really want to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it for the rest of
There
today.
you go. You need
But,
to go watch them.
um,
Yeah. Okay, so tell
but
me where I know that we're okay. So this is like the part where it's just like what goals do we have going forward? Um and I don't know if anybody else feels this way with like their what they go into and like what drives them. I feel like I'm in a pinball game where I'm like, "Oh, I'm interested in this, but now I'm interested in this, and I don't really know where I'm going." And it's through finding that. So like I've done videos where it's like a vlog. I've done videos where it's just like, oh, nature effects, because I'm just like, oh, maybe people like that. But then I'm like, meh. And so trying to like making this though, and also just even like going even further out in like the realm of just being like, do you want to do YouTube forever? Or is like, do I want to make a feature film? Like, is that even like on the table? Like, do I want to do a TV series? Like, so big broad goals. Would love to do a TV series. Not exactly sure exactly what. I think heist movies are so cool. I would love to do like some kind of like continuous heist group story,
yeah.
or a feature film, but definitely I'm more into the storytelling versus trying to get a million views off of one reel of someone doing a crazy backflip for a snowboard
Right.
thing, right? It's like, oh, you're going to forget about that, in 2
Yeah, no,
seconds.
two swipes down and you'll never find it again.
Yep.
That's what I've noticed
Yep.
that's why I like longer content too, is because, and I'm not saying reels don't have a place, but there's something special about like sitting down and watching something,
Mm-hmm.
where you can get invested, you know? That's why
Mm-hmm.
movies are still so amazing, is because you get to walk through these, most of the time fictional, but you can walk through these lives, and it's an emotional game. Like we watched a video in one of my analysis classes where it wasn't specifically over the top with what they did. They actually had a lot of down to earth things, but you're following this character through their trials, and even though they don't really succeed, but they like get good enough. Like, this girl's objective was essentially to get to college in New York. If you know what movie I'm talking about, congratulations. I don't really know what movie I'm talking about, but forgot the.
It's
But
okay.
but all the movie's doing is experiencing college life in California and the struggles that their family's going through to barely get things to work. Like, this movie would sound super boring, but how they have created it makes it super interesting and super good.
Mm.
And so that's why I like being in the video space, is because, and I'll lead this into my goals here, but that's why I like being in this video space, is because you can get invested and love these products that you make, or do the opposite where you're actively trying to make something repulsive or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, my goals, I would love to get onto a production set. as like a cinematographer or something, that would be super fun. Like even if I'm working for somebody, I don't think I mind too much because this is so much fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have that kind of security. But if I want to be risky and the benefit would be I would be getting paid more, is you can go to the freelance side of photography, videography, editing, all that stuff, and get hired on by rather smaller companies or companies that need you just for a couple gigs. Um, but then that way you can always focus on what you want to do and essentially have your own schedule. And with freelance, you could be like my goals here in Utah. There you could do like wedding videos, real estate videos,
Mm-hmm.
private commercial videos as like your freelance gig, and you can do that all on your own. They're not too hard. Maybe wedding videos are a little picky with how people want them, but
But you can charge more for those, so it's okay.
that's what they want, and that's what they want. But
Yep.
I do that. And in Utah, again, I'm super blessed to be here because you have this diversity. You go to southern Utah and you're in a completely different world.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the mountains up here, like, and because of that diversity, you have a ton of production groups, small and big. I heard there's a Bollywood group down here, and I would
What?
love to be on set for that. That would
Oh,
be so much.
that's
But
cool. Yeah, you're in the prime spot for
yeah,
so much. Like I'm like, oh, I would love to live in Utah right now because there's so many things, and yeah, there's people, but it's like that's why there's so many things. Is like there's a lot of people and there's a lot of different like I think it's their economy there. Your economy there is one of the highest. Like probably in the
yeah,
world, honestly. Like at this point it's like it's really doing well. Like you guys are like there's a lot of capitalism, there's a lot of people doing their own things that they're passionate about, so there's competitiveness and there's like really good stuff that comes out of that. So
which is kind of the issue for newer people like me. So I think the best route I can go on is trying to work for a company rather being
mm,
some. I could literally just be like the person who takes the order to get Chipotle for the crew.
exactly, yes, but you're on the
But
crew.
yeah, but you're on the crew and you have those connections. So then I can reach out because I was on one set with a guy before I served my LDS mission, and I did this commercial with them, but now I have this director's um, direct message. He'll respond to me.
So
And
cool.
so to have connections is so important in
Hmm.
the film industry. But you just got to put your foot in the door, you know? You
Yes.
got to be the guy who gets Chipotle.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Definitely some advice I would say that I've been doing this year has been make a film, makes content that you love, so it shows like that you love it, and then contact people in that world and you like show it to them and be like, "Hey, like I'm available for hire." Like,
Right.
like, "Hey, like," or just show up to an event. Like I recently went to a snowboard event here in Post Falls, or it was in Hayden, but they had it was all free. It's all like nonprofit basically, and filmed it. Met with the guy there, and I'm gonna be meeting with him and doing some of their social media now because of it. So
Okay, I have to mention something. I completely forgot about this until now.
go ahead.
So there is this big event that, depending on when this gets out there, and of course who actually ends up listening or watching this,
Right.
but in Utah, they have at Salt Lake City, they have this St. Patrick's Day parade. My dad is on the team to help organize, get the or not patents, the licensing and all that stuff. And he's tasked me with recording it and producing a video. And all of this is nonprofit. So that's why I'm giving this shout out, is because this is more a demo of what I'm going to be able to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I can use that to show it to people to say, hey, this is what I can do. I can edit, I can produce, I can do all these things on my own, but it'd be cool to work for you, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
anyway,
Free to fee is like the thing that they say in Full Time Filmmaker, which is who I go through, and they've got a lot of free stuff online. But yeah, just like if you love something, you got to show that you love that by filming it and doing it, and then people believe you, versus being like, hey, I'd love to film a wedding, and they're like, oh, have you ever done it before? And you're like, no, but it's gonna be $5,000, and they're gonna be like, no, we don't trust you. I know, right? Yeah, it's like, they're just, you gotta build that trust and show that you actually care, which is, yeah, so awesome. Okay, you can follow me, this YouTube, Jessica Woffinden, or you can go on Instagram at Jessica Woffinden to see some more behind the scenes stuff, and more snowboard content is coming. And would love to do more podcasts like this with you, James. And maybe we should open this up to other people too. I mean, we've got other friends that do audio and music that we could be like, hey, like, walk us through a project that you're passionate about and tell us about it, just so it's like a place for the commentary, you know, like, I don't know what we'll call these things, the commentary podcast, but I don't know, like, behind the scenes. We'll work on it.
Make a fun name for it.
Yeah.
Another thing I should also mention, a project that I have for not my film history class, but my actual production class, is I have to do an interview. And as a side job, so I currently work at the Chick-fil-A here in Provo.
Mm-hmm.
But I have, UView has a broadcasting team that they do for like the men's basketball or men and women basketball, volleyball, wrestling. I think that's it's that I know of.
Nice.
And so cool. It is like you don't have to pay me to come to this job.
Right.
And we have these cameras. We broadcast to ESPN or ESPN Plus, and it is so cool. And so what I'm doing for this project is I have to do an interview. So I'm going to be interviewing him and doing a lot of B-roll shots, showing all our broadcasting equipment, our $60,000 cameras, our behind the scenes with everything. So maybe we could see that depending on when we do our next video. So maybe give me a week or two. I don't know.
Sweet.
We'll see.
Yeah. I think maybe we should shoot for this maybe once a month, just to see,
Okay.
like,
easily.
okay, cool. If we can get a film, I would love, I call them films, like, I'm a filmmaker, you know, I'm not feature filmmaker, but I love, like, it's, not yet. That was a good snap. I would say that, if I can, a goal for myself is to get out the level of film that I just did once a month. That would be really, I think that would push me really hard and do really well. And that gives me enough time. And honestly, I'm going to have that footage. Like, I already have another snowboard event that I am making a snowboard film for before the 9th is the goal, before March 9th. And this Friday, or whenever this comes out, it'll be February 16th. They're having a ski snowboard event in downtown Wallace. That's the main street. They have a ton of snow that they bring in, and they just have a big, like, rail jam and jumps and contest. So I'm going to be filming some of that too. So, oh man, you got a guy back there with a rose.
Oh yeah.
It's Valentine's Day.
I was not into it. I was like, that's sick.
So cool. So anyway, but yeah, I think I don't know if you're where you're at because you're doing school, but we can at least go through stuff that you're passionate about and talk about things that you're like, this is what I'm working on, or this is my idea of what I want to do.
And if we're doing this monthly, then I should have content that I can make, at least for homework. You know, if I've got homework stuff, I'm still, like I said, I'm going to go all out. I don't mind. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I have 2 video ideas that I know are want to be, I want to create them. And so maybe I could even get one of those done. They're going to take a bit of time. And so I have to squeeze that between my work, school, and whatever little bit of personal life I still have left. I have to shove it right in there.
Right. Yes.
How it works, right?
Yes. But I think finding something that you love, that you don't mind spending the time on, is so important, because like that's what I learned through doing this, was like, wow, I didn't really care about the clock, because I was like tweaking, and it wasn't like, I've been doing this for an hour, this is so long, you know. It was just like, oh dang, like, it's been 2 hours, I need to go eat, you know, like, you know, like,
to live.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second, I need to like stretch my legs. So I think with anybody, whatever, I think anyone can relate to that, is like, once you find something that you love to do, it doesn't feel like it's a chore anymore. You're just like,
Yeah.
This is what I love. So, well, thank you, James, so much for being on this podcast here and trying something new. We're going to see what we can pull out of this. So,
Yeah, and I'll send it to my friends because they would, I know a lot of them would probably really enjoy this. Um, and even you don't have to do this, but I just thought of one of my friends who likes Twitch. Maybe, maybe this is, I don't know how that would fare because I know Twitch and stuff, that's usually video games, but I'm sure there's an audience. I wonder how that would turn out, you know?
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, whatever
So,
ideas, throw it in we've got this chat going here, so we can throw it in there. But yeah, comment below if you want to. Like the
you have
video.
to, if you watch this video, you have to, if you got to this point,
Oh my gosh.
respond with a fish emoji.
Oh
You don't
my
have to say
gosh.
anything.
There you go. I think I heard the algorithm works if they click on content that you've already made. Like it
Mhm.
works better. So it's like if you go from this video and then you go watch another video, it means like, oh, you like their content. You like it. So go check out my film. Go check out James's stuff. We're gonna put his YouTube up here eventually once he has that. We'll put it in the chat. So you're gonna make it. It's gonna be all right. You're gonna be great. So, but we'll put the link to the safety last review video that you did, so that if people want to go see it, you can go see that and watch the journey. Honestly, it's not even for the people. Like it's more just like for us, so that we can push ourselves to be our very best selves. Is like why I'm trying to do this podcast. It's like, okay, I've never done a podcast before. I want to try doing commentary on things that I've done and point it out with somebody who gets it. So,
Yeah.
so I appreciate your time, James. Like, thank you so much. And
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, sweet. And cut, I guess. Like,
Okay.
that's a wrap.
Yeah.